Weather is the top story today as Corvallis hits record highs. Also, 2 Albany residents were killed last night as their car lost control on a gravel road. Straight in. Good evening. The entire state of Oregon has been feeling the heat this week, and here in the Valley, it's no different. Will things cool down anytime soon? Sarah Cohen is here with the weather preview. Sarah?
Yes, Rebecca, things will be getting a little bit cooler than today, fortunately. It looks as though those second days of record highs may be our last, as temperatures are going to be dropping into the lower 80s and high 70s. But you can't expect weather like this well into next week.
2 Albany men died shortly after 6 p.m. last night when their car rolled over. James Carter, 26, was driving when the car drifted into gravel and flipped on Fish Hatchery Road. 27-year-old passenger Alan Swander also was killed. Rescuers spent 3 hours removing the bodies from the wreckage. At least one of the men was not wearing a seatbelt. Vermont Senator James Jeffords will likely announce his heated decision to leave the Republican Party at a press conference tomorrow. After butting heads with Republican leadership, Jeffords began telling friends and peers this week that he will become an independent. Jeffords has a long-time record of supporting legislation that his Republican counterparts have opposed, including support for abortion rights, voting to acquit former President Clinton of being impeached, was all for Clinton's health plan, and votes in favor of environmental legislation that other Republicans do not. In addition, he voted to trim the president's tax plan. With such a track record, tensions at the White House have increased, with Jeffords even being excluded from some political events. In a 62-38 vote, the Senate approved the president's scaled-down $1.35 trillion tax cut. Democrats tried to stall the measure, arguing that it was too skewed to the rich, but Republicans won out, saying the cuts will help the ailing economy and that Americans deserve to benefit from the country's extra money. The measure passed in the House calls for a $1.6 trillion tax cut, but Republicans feel that they will be able to iron out the differences in time to get the measure to President Bush by the end of this week. Also in the House, lawmakers rejected an attempt to add school vouchers back into the current education initiative by a strong 273 to 155 majority. Supporters feel that they would help poor students get into better schools, while those against them, mostly Democrats, say that allowing vouchers would take money away from schools that are already underfunded. Despite yesterday's decree by the Israeli government that they would no longer fire on or initiate military operations against the Palestinians, dozens are left wounded in Gaza Strip, with one of their own dead. 24 Palestinians were ambushed and fired upon in the West Bank when, according to witnesses, Israeli tanks entered Palestinian territory. The Israeli military will not confirm or deny the allegations. One day ago, the Israelis told the Palestinians that they would only shoot if the situation was life-threatening. Oregon schools are under another survey. How are we ranking, Mike?
Well, Becky, you're right. Oregon is going under another survey with the school district, and the results are a little so-so. A new national study showed that Oregon is ranked 20th out of the 50 states for the well-being of children, and the studies are saying that Oregon children are doing exceptionally well in the earlier years. That 20th ranking is up 7% from last year and 9% from 1999. Although the numbers are good for Oregon children in their early years, the figures aren't so good when students reach their later years, where the survey showed that 13% of Oregon high school students dropped out of school in the 1999-2000 school year. That is a 7% jump from 1990. State officials hope that increased awareness of this problem mixed with extra teaching techniques will not only continue helping grade school and junior high school students stay involved in school and their community, but I hope it will also trickle into the high school system as well. In the ongoing debate between striking workers and Weyerhaeuser, it looks like there might be some light at the end of the tunnel for both parties involved. Both sides have agreed to return to the bargaining table this week for the first time since 1,400 union workers walked off their jobs on May 8th. Both sides have agreed to address the ongoing problem of wage increase and promise to listen to all the information that the other side has to offer. The union workers reportedly wanted only a slight wage increase to keep up with inflation, as well as a better pension and better health plans for the company. Striking workers hope that the talks will shed some light on the ongoing problem with the company and hope that Weyerhaeuser really listens to their demands. The Oregon Council Against Arson is offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of those responsible for an arson attack on a tree nursery in Clatskanie. The fire destroyed decades of work from some teachers and researchers at the University of Washington Center for Horticulture, and officials are suspicious that the fire might have been started by radical environmentalists. Police say that the arsonist placed devices that destroyed 2 buildings and a vehicle at the nursery. No suspects have been identified at the moment, and the police are asking your help from you. In a new bill that the Oregon Senate approved today, cougars and bears posing a threat to human safety could be killed without a license or a tag. The bill is intended to combat the growing problem between animal and human interaction. Supporters of the bill say that families now will be able to protect their family from bold and dangerous predators that might wander onto their property, where opposers say that the bill is only doing more harm than good. The bill will now return to the House for approval of minor amendments. Another measure passed 50-3 today by the House that would raise cockfighting from a misdemeanor to a felony with a potential 5-year prison term. The bill also would outlaw raising and training fighting birds, as well as transporting them to places where cockfighting is legal. A similar bill was passed earlier, but the House buried it in the Senate committee. Efforts to eliminate Oregon's cockfighting industry got a big boost from this measure today, but it will take a lot more than that to fully close the cockfighting industry here in Oregon. Well, Rebecca, it looks like no matter how hard they try, the cockfighting industry still looks like it's going to be here.
It's extremely sad that animals have to go through that. It's been a growing problem, and I've been watching it on other stations, and it's been really tough. Thank you, Mike. Stay with us after the break for health news.
The male emperor penguin of Antarctica balances his unborn offspring on his feet for weeks in sub-zero temperatures. Then, after it hatches, he provides shelter for the chick in a fold of skin and feathers. If the father is unwilling or unable to do this, the chick will not survive. Just a reminder how important it is for fathers to spend time with their children.
Go for a mouthful, go for the fun.
Oh, go for cake!
Cakes for everyone. Just one stack is what it takes, and it's go for cakes. Open wide, stuff your face. There's always room for more Gopher cakes. Empty the box, they're reload. Eat those Gopher cakes till you explode.
Exercised lately?
Till you explode.
Hey, you! You fellas must be strangers around here. I better straighten you out.
Something wrong, officer?
You just happen to be violating Section 17B, Article 4. That's all that's wrong.
The safety belt law. Oh, we never wear safety belts. We're dummies.
Now, look, you happen to be talking to the law. Don't you get smart-nosed with me.
How are we going to pay for this? We're always broke.
Let's get that vehicle out of here.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Do you think you have the power to change the world?
I can change the world one child at a time.
I know I can make a difference in those children's lives.
I teach.
I teach. Yes, they're teachers, but to the kids they reach, they're heroes.
I teach.
Do you have the power to wake up young minds, to be someone's hero? Teach, to make an impact on our future. Call 1-800-45-TEACH. Be a teacher. Be a hero.
Americans felt like giving more last year. $230 billion worth was given to charity, up 6.6%, with religious institutions getting the most money at $74 billion. High-tech fortunes gave the most. For instance, the Gates family and Intel co-founder Gordon Moore each donated $5 billion to their private charities. The cost of blood is going up. Who's going to be affected by this, Soha?
Well, first it's going to affect the hospitals, but then probably will affect patients eventually. The American Red Cross will be raising prices of blood to sell to hospitals. The Red Cross is raising prices in order to battle a climbing debt of $300 million caused by safety procedures. At this time, a pint of red blood cells is from $130 to $150. Hospitals in Indiana have already stated that they will be increasing costs from 10 to 35%. The Red Cross obtains 6.5 million units of blood per year, as well as 500,000 units of donations of platelets and plasma. Wood structures and playgrounds may not be safe. According to the Environmental Working Group and the Healthy Building Network, arsenic levels in a preservative used on wood play equipment are too high, saying that they could lead to cancer. The preservative, chromated copper arsenate, is 22% arsenic. It is used to prevent water damage and insect invasions to the wood. The two groups state that 5-year-olds, after using the equipment for 2 weeks, are above governmental levels for arsenic contamination. A study conducted by the Consumer Product Safety Commission in 1990 discovered the preservative to be harmless. However, a commission spokesperson said that the committee is open to new findings. Most pressure-treated timber has the arsenic preservative. Ways to reduce global warming have been heatedly debated over the past few years, and in an attempt to reduce the increase in the Earth's temperature, environmentalists have been promoting tree planting. But today, ecologist Ram Oren says that trees might not decrease global heat. Trees do absorb carbon dioxide, the agent which is believed to trap the sun's heat within the atmosphere. However, studies have shown that carbon dioxide is absorbed in high amounts only during the early spurts of growth. After that, the growth is diminished considerably and significant carbon dioxide absorption is reduced. Ads for the controversial abortion pill RU-486 will be put in magazines such as People, Self, and 11 more magazines by the end of the summer. $2 million are being poured into the advertisements. The money comes from private groups, as was affirmed by a National Abortion Federation spokesperson, and she pointed out the New York company that markets the pill is not related in any way to the ads. The only magazine that declined the ad was Redbook. Back to you, Becky.
Thank you, Soha. So, Sarah, how hot did it get today? I heard we reached record highs.
We reached an unofficial high of 88 degrees today, and it was a beautiful day in Corvallis, as you can tell from these pictures taken earlier today at Avery Park. The Devil Rays and the Royals enjoyed a game of baseball in the warm weather. Tomorrow it will be sunny again with a high of 77 degrees. In the evening, a possible low of 52 degrees. For Friday, there will be morning clouds, but the sun is going to burn through by the afternoon. We'll have highs in the upper 70s and lows in the lower 50s. For Saturday, again, there's going to be morning clouds, but by the afternoon, the sun will burn through. We'll have highs in the upper 70s and lows in the lower 40s. But on Sunday, it's going to be mostly cloudy, but the highs will be in the upper 60s and lows in the lower 50s. And for all of you weather junkies out there, here's a piece of weather information. It takes approximately 5 minutes for a raindrop to fall from 15,000 feet. Kind of interesting for all of you Oregonians. That's it from another beautiful night in Corvallis.
Thank you, Sarah. Here is Andy Jones with a preview of sports.
Hello again, everyone. Join me after the break as today the NBA Head Coach of the Year was named, and San Antonio Spurs guard Derek Anderson says he's ready to return from his shoulder injury to play against the Lakers Friday night in Los Angeles.
This is your brain. This is heroin. This is what happens to your brain after snorting heroin. And this is what your body goes through. It's not over yet. This is what your family goes through. And your friends and your money is your future. Any questions?
Last year, this family gave children in Bosnia a wonderful gift. These fourth graders helped save the lives of 20 children in El Salvador. And this youth group helped 5 Rwandan families get back on their feet. Every year, people who care about the world's children trick or treat for UNICEF. This is how they do it. Call 1-800-FOR-KIDS for your free cartons. UNICEF, because every child is our child.
A young child's mind is like gelatin. The idea is to put in lots of good things before it sets.
Batteries in the flashlight. Okay, you know what?
That guy? Look.
Okay, girls, 3 o'clock.
What is he looking at? They're looking at us. What do you think?
Oh, that's so obvious. Captain Obvious has scored again. Open your window, say something.
Oh, he's really gonna down.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Even though OSU baseball came to an end last week, some players are still being recognized for their effort. Here is Andy Jones with more and the sports.
Well, Becky, although the Beavers didn't end up quite as well as they would have liked to by advancing the playoffs, 7 individual players were recognized by the Pac-10 today for their outstanding efforts this season. But we'll get back to that in just a bit. Today, Philadelphia 76ers head coach Larry Brown was named the NBA Coach of the Year after leading the 76ers to the best regular season record in the Eastern Conference at 56-25. Coach Brown and his 76ers are preparing to increase their series lead in Game 2 of the conference finals against the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. San Antonio Spurs guard Derek Anderson says his separated shoulder is feeling better and he hopes to play Friday when the Spurs take on the Lakers at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. The veteran guard has been sidelined for nearly 3 weeks after getting injured in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals. Anderson and the Spurs travel to LA down 2-0 in the conference finals best-of-7 series. It was announced today that Martina Hingis will be the women's top seed when the French Open gets underway next week. Americans Venus Williams, Lindsay Davenport, and Jennifer Capriati are the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seeds in the tournament. Defending champion Mary Pierce pulled out of the Grand Slam today because of a lingering back problem. With that, let's go to a few sports scores today. In baseball, the Mariners knocked off the Twins in Minneapolis 5-4. The Yankees beat the Bo Sox at Yankee Stadium this evening 7-3. Moving on to the National League, the Dodgers beat the Rockies at Coors Field 6-4. And San Diego beat the Houston Astros 7-6. On Tuesday, the Pac-10 announced that OSU had 7 baseball players worthy of making the all-conference team. Pitcher Scott Nicholson, catcher Brian Ingram, third baseman Brian Barton, and outfielder Chris Biles were all named to the conference's first team. Also, OSU had 3 more players earning honorable mention credit, including outfielder Josh Carter, designated hitter Curtis Davis, and pitcher Thad Johnson. The 7 OSU selections were the most for the baseball team since the Pac-10 decided to merge its northern and southern divisions prior to the 1999 season. With the sports wrap-up, I'm Andy Jones for KBVR.
They have to be happy with that. Recapping our top stories tonight, Vermont Senator James Jeffords will apparently announce tomorrow that he is leaving the Republican Party, effectively giving the Democrats a Senate majority. 1 in 4 Italians stayed up late to watch The Sopranos as it hit Italy for the first time last night. Despite the fact that the show has been criticized for stereotyping Italian Americans, the episode was a hit and did so well that the network that aired it will be giving it a try again and giving it a better time slot. However, the show was dubbed into Italian, so the actors lost their Jersey accents. When Glenda Stevens came home to find her dog, Sweetie, he was lying on the pavement in front of her house, having been hit by the mail truck. Stevens could not feel a heartbeat, so she picked up the remains of her dog and buried it in the backyard. A few hours later, however, Stevens looked outside to see Sweetie's legs sticking out of the ground. The legs started moving and the dog dug itself out of the shallow grave. Sweetie was diagnosed with a broken jaw and a broken front leg, which Stevens plans to have fixed by a specialist. Tic-Tac-and-Toe, 3 chickens that play the game they are named for, disappeared from a state fair last week with few clues left behind. The chickens play challengers for a quarter, and their owner, Steve Bogger, says that they have never lost a game. Bogger calls them, quote, educated poultry, and says that they can be found reading a newspaper. Although he places a lot of faith in them, he also says that they're not smart enough to escape on their own, saying, quote, they are not Houdini. Thanks for joining us on KBVR News.